Hey y'all, it's Cindy Tauchar, and I'm here today with Janie Walters, and I have known of Janie. She didn't know of me, but I knew of her because I've heard her speak at a couple of different things. One was a Professional Women's Association, and another was, I think, one of those women's. You spoke at a women's group at a church. Where you decorate the tables.
Out and
I don't know what they're called.
Tablescapes.
You get to decorate the tables, and you go and see the table decorations, and they have a speaker. They do it through the Methodist churches. But anyway, you've spoken at one of those, and I was there. And I think a chamber thing.
I've done lots of things.
Yeah, but anyway, she is so funny, and I've always just thought. And when I started doing this vlog with Cindy Cobb, she was one of the names that came into my head. I thought, because, and we'll talk about this in a minute, she's written some books, and I had one of them, and I loved it. And I thought, I'm going to see if I can get that Janie lady to come talk.
The Janie lady. The kids at church call me Miss Janie, and now I'm the Janie lady.
That Janie lady. Well, and then just so happened, 2-3 weeks ago, I went to a meeting and she was there, and so I beelined over to her after the meeting and said, "Listen, I've got to talk to you. I want you to be on my vlog. I want to interview you." And so she was gracious enough to agree to meet with me and talk.
Delighted to, just absolutely delighted to. Thanks.
I'm so excited. But first of all, let's just talk about how you got started, your background. Because you started out as a teacher.
I did. I taught speech, debate, and theater at the high school and college levels.
And I'm so bummed out because nobody told me in high school that debate meant that you got to argue with people. Because I think I would have been really good at that. And I didn't know what it was, and I didn't participate. And it's like I got older and I went, debate means argue?
I can do that, yeah.
And you can do it and not get in trouble.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I missed out on all that. But yeah, so you taught that.
Mm-hmm. Right, and debate is really mental gymnastics.
I mean,
it's for the brain what physical therapy and physical activities do for the body. It's just fabulous. But anyway, I taught speech, debate, and theater, and in 1984, I went to a meeting for the commissioning ceremony for Southern Baptist missionaries. It's the only time they have taken it out of Nashville. They brought it into the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And so we went to see this commissioning ceremony for the foreign missionaries. And when they commissioned those missionaries, I heard the voice of God. He spoke to me in an audible voice. I was not smoking anything or on drugs or anything. And he said in a clear tone, he called me by name, and he said, "Janie, I didn't call you just to teach speech. I called you to speak." Well, I knew immediately it was God, but I had absolutely no idea what he was talking about. I mean, I only made an 18 on my ACT. I mean, it's like I'm so ordinary and I'm so common. Why would God speak to me and then give me an assignment like that? And so I did 3 days of praying and fasting and couldn't figure it out. And so finally I said, "Listen, Lord, I know that was you. If anybody ever asks me to speak, I'll say yes." Well, within 2 weeks, the phone started ringing, and it just never stopped. It started with every kind of civic club known to man, and then from civic clubs, somebody said, "Well, my teachers need to hear this," and somebody else said, "My bank tellers need to hear it," and my nursing staff, and then before you know it, I was just traveling so much. I had 2 full-time jobs. I was speaking all the time, and then I was teaching still.
Yes.
And in 2000, my husband moved us up here, and I was able to go full-time with my
Where were you
business.
living before?
Gulfport.
Okay, so you were in Gulfport, and y'all moved up to
And then we moved up here to Madison. He was working for the Federal Highway Administration.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, I guess because I've heard you speak several times, you were being diligent to your calling, and thankfully I could benefit from that. But now after you started speaking, you did write these books.
I did.
And tell me about, because we were talking earlier, sometimes you can go through a negative experience and it can turn into a positive. Right. And that's what you did.
Absolutely. Well, I just need to tell you up front, I'm sort of optimistic by nature. I came into the world, Pollyanna. You're looking at her in full. And so life
and the glitzy. Pretty glitzy for Pollyanna.
And life is beautiful all the time, and I'd love to see those nice young men in their clean white coats. I mean, I really am pretty optimistic, but I was leveled by an experience when my husband of 29 years died. His name was Dickie Walters, and mine is Janie. Our wedding invitation said, "Come have fun with Dick and Jane."
Oh, how cute!
It really did, and we had fun, lots of fun for 29 years. But he died, and I was just lost. It's like, how do you have fun when you've lost the other half of who you are?
Right.
And so anyway, it took a long time to dig up out of that dungeon of self-pity and grief and all that stuff. But that part of me that's so optimistic and so believes that all things work together for good to those who love the Lord started emerging, and out of it came all kinds of positive things that you know, when you start looking for the good in a bad situation, you will find it. You will always find it. And the good that I found, the very first thing that I found was Dickie was insured. And so that was fun. You know, I realized what kind of freedom I had because we didn't have children, and Dickie, I didn't have a husband, and I only have one brother, and he lives in California. And so I was living in Madison, Mississippi right by myself, and I was totally free to do anything God wanted me to do. And so I've been on all kinds of missionary trips, and you know, South Africa twice and Romania twice, and been to Israel.
So the first book.
Yes, this very first book was a challenge because I didn't see myself as a writer. I saw myself as a speaker. But a friend told me, you just write down what you say, you know, write what you say. And that's what I did.
And it's called Blow a Bubble, Not a Gasket.
Yeah, 101 Ways to Reduce Stress and Add Fun to Your Life. And it really, it was a blessing from God. Quail Ridge Press picked it up. I didn't have to self-publish. And as soon as it came off the presses, Cracker Barrel bought 7,000 copies.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, talk about a blessing. I mean, just
time.
I'm just a little ordinary girl from a little town in Ellisville, Mississippi, and Cracker Barrel bought 7,000 copies of my book, and so that launched so many opportunities for me.
Oh,
That
I
was just
bet.
great.
I bet.
Yeah.
That's so neat. So okay, so this is about
Just all kinds of ways.
de-stressing.
I give you ideas for physical fun, mental fun, emotional fun, social fun, and spiritual fun. And all of them are easy, they're inexpensive, and they're things to help you enjoy your life.
Well, who doesn't need that?
Who doesn't need that, right? Now, this was actually a presentation that came out of an experience with Dickie. You know, we were to have fun with Dick and Jane, but this particular night we weren't having any fun, but it was garbage night. You know, everybody the night before garbage day do the same thing. We haul out the garbage. Well, Dickie and I weren't speaking to each other, but it was garbage night. So Dickie came grumping through the house saying, "Janie, garbage night." And I didn't need a 99-page dissertation to know what to do. My job was to get all the little cans and consolidate it in the kitchen, and then I'd pull the big can on wheels to the street, and Dickie took the recycle bin. Well, on the way out to the street with all this garbage, the thought came to me, wouldn't it be wonderful if Dickie and I could go through our hearts and minds and get rid of all of this mental and emotional garbage that's causing us to be unkind to each other so that we can go back into that house as friends? Well, Dickie thought it was a grand idea, so we stood right there over the recycle bin and kissed. And when we went back into our house, we had a good time in the Walters house that night. You know what I'm talking And then the thought came to me how easy that was. We were so angry with each other we weren't even speaking. And just with a decision, a simple decision, we dropped all that negativity and went and had ourselves a great time. And so I thought, well, would it work with other things? Could I get really ticked with my third period speech class and not keep them all for after school detention? I mean, could I get really aggravated on the interstate and be polite and let somebody else in traffic? You know, is it possible just to forgive people and go on? And that's sent me on the journey to write this book, and I came up with all kinds of great suggestions.
And say the name of it first, because it's so cute.
The garbage truck comes on Tuesdays and Fridays. That's really when it comes to my house in Madison. When does it come to your house?
In Clinton, it comes to my house on Tuesdays and Fridays,
I'm saying, and when I lived in Gulfport, it was Tuesdays and Fridays, so that's when it comes. But whenever it comes to your house, we all do the same thing the night before garbage day, which is to get all that mental in. And the premise of the book is that we have to be as regular to get rid of mental and emotional garbage as we are to get rid of physical garbage.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you know we don't.
No, we hang on to
Why
that.
do we not do that?
I don't know. We hang on
Well, I
to
mean,
that
you
garbage.
evidently do. But
And
and
well,
I've read your book. And
But I have to read my book every once in a while.
Yeah, I need a reminder.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's just such I mean, it seems so easy, but it is something you have to make it a point to do it.
Yeah, and I give suggestions like changing your perspective. Like if you can't see something good in a situation, talk to somebody who can, and maybe they can help you.
Yeah.
Find a different way to look at it. And then I talk about adopting the golden rule. Like get outside of yourself. Sometimes our problems are so big and they sound so awful just because we're thinking about ourselves too much. So start doing for other people what you would like them to do for you, and you'd be amazed. And it's just ideas like that. Okay.
That's just fabulous.
Well, I'm so glad you like it.
And so besides writing these books that you can get on Amazon, by the way, is there anywhere?
They're carried in local bookstores, and if the bookstore doesn't have them, they can order them because I did not self-publish. I was able to talk a publisher into buying both of these. It was a blessing from God. Thank you, Quail Ridge Press. Thank you, Barney and Wynn McKee.
So these will be great Christmas gifts coming up. Yeah. So now you also speak. You still speak.
Yes.
All over. You were telling me how many.
I've spoken more than 1,000 times in 43 different states and 3 different nations.
So I guess you were obedient to God's calling then, if you're.
but it's fun. I just can't tell you. I've done school systems in South Dakotas and government agencies in Washington, D.C. and, military bases in California. I mean, it's just a wonderful way to make a living. I get paid to talk, Cindy.
That's awesome, because how much fun, and it's fun for everybody who hears you, because I've heard you several times, and she's so funny. Okay, so if people did need a speaker for an occasion or
some training for our company.
Weather's changing, and so of course I'm gonna start coughing. So, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, they can go to my website, www.janiewalters. It's just janiewalters.com. My email address is joyfullyjanie@aol.com.
That's cute.
I'm listed with the National Speakers Association, so you can just scroll down, go to their contacts and look up.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry. No, but I would love for y'all though to reach out to her if you need a speaker. She would be the hit of the party.
Well,
so
God has blessed me, and you're a blessing to so many people.
Well, thank you.
I just started watching whenever she contacted me. I'd never heard around the town in the South.
Yeah.
And I went to it one time and pulled it up on my phone. And now then when I go to Facebook, it is the first thing that comes up. And you interview the most wonderful people.
Oh, I have a fun time.
So honored to be one of them. Thank you.
Well, I'm so honored that you would take the time to speak with me. And before we go, I do want to thank our sponsors. We have the Cottage, that is at the outlets in Pearl. Have you ever been there?
Yes, gosh.
Oh my gosh, the cutest things. And I was in there the other day and left with 2 bags. And I don't know if you're like me, I like to get all my regular Christmas decorations out. I like my traditional stuff that I've had for a while, but I always like to add some new stuff every year.
Yeah.
Just update it. Cute Christmas stuff. Great. I got tons of stocking stuffers there the other day. So y'all, all of you who are on my Christmas list, y'all get some cute stuff. And then also another sponsor of ours, Solar Control of Jackson, window tinting for your cars, homes, and your businesses. I don't know, a lot of people don't realize it, but when you get your car tinted, that's like having sunblock.
Oh, okay.
On all the time. My dad has had skin cancer removed from his face on this side, where when you're driving, this is where the sun comes in. A lot of people don't think about when you're in your car you need sunblock because you're thinking you're inside, but it is a good way to prevent skin cancer. And also Northpark Mall, they are having their grand opening. They've been remodeling, and they're going to be having their grand opening I think tomorrow and the next day. Santa Claus is there, so go to Northpark Mall and do your Christmas shopping. So
yeah, and I know they have worked. One of the guys in our church has been working on that remodeling process.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be fabulous.
It's going to be great. Yeah, you need to go see it. So thank you for being here with me today.
You are so welcome. I'm delighted to be invited. Thank you.
Thank all of you for joining us. And if you haven't already, go and like and follow Around the Town in the South.
Amen.
So that you can see the rest of our vlogs. So we'd love to have you join us on our journey all over. So thanks, and we'll be seeing you around the town.
Bye.